everyone. This is Karen.
Welcome, everybody. I am Shane.
Today we're looking at part 1 of
Swamp Thing.
That's right. Oh,
Swamp Thing.
That was really, really scary. But we are talking about something scary today.
Oh.
Okay, and the vocabulary words are enormous.
Enormous.
The movie star lives in an enormous house by the lake.
Resemble.
Resemble.
People say that a husband and a wife begin to resemble each other as the years go by.
Characteristic.
Characteristic.
The characteristic sound of a trumpet echoed through the halls.
Consist.
Consist.
A standard room at the hotel consists of a single bed, a desk, and a chair.
Mostly.
Mostly.
I mostly drive to work, but sometimes I ride my bike. Okay, you kind of scared me there with the swamp thing.
Swamp Thing!
So we are talking about this thing that is I guess it looks kind of scary, but kind of cute, kind of cool.
They live in swamps?
Yeah, that's right.
They've got a very interesting beak.
Very, very big beak.
It looks like a shoe.
It looks like a Dutch wooden shoe. Have you ever seen those Dutch wooden shoes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Those don't look very comfortable.
So the animal we're talking about today is called shoe-bill stork.
Okay, the pictures of them sometimes look a little bit
Frightening.
intimidating.
That's right.
They have a look in their eye that's kind of a bit scary.
And they're not really colorful. They're kind of like just dark and gray. That's right.
But their beak is actually quite interesting. They can do a lot of stuff. Like one thing, because it's like a shoe, it can hold water.
That's right.
So sometimes they'll put their eggs in their beak filled with water to keep the eggs from getting too hot.
That's right.
So it's a quite useful tool.
And also because the beak is very, very sharp, they can also use it to cut off the heads of their prey, of the little animals, I don't know, like snakes and frogs or even baby crocodiles.
It's a pretty cool bird, actually.
I guess, but, they have like very large wings.
Oh, but they don't fly that much. They're not great at flying.
They're not very good flyers, that's right.
Well, this is an interesting bird. Let's learn some more.
Okay, let's learn some more about the swamp thing.
Swamp Thing!
Swamp Thing. With thick gray feathers and an enormous beak that resembles a Dutch wooden shoe, the shoe-bill stork is quite a sight. Though it might appear strange or even prehistoric, it is perfectly suited to its natural environment, the swamps of Central Africa.
Today's lesson is Swamp Thing. Part 1. Hi everyone, my name is Swamp Thing. No, my name is Jeff.
Yeah, your name is Jeff. My name's Mike, and yes, Swamp Thing is the name of the title of
Swamp Thing.
And it is kind of like a horror movie, right? Swamp Thing. It tells you about a swamp, which is kind of a wet, muddy area where not good things happened and alligators live. And it's a thing. We don't know what it is. It could be a monster, and it has an exclamation point. Wow, it's exciting. So it does kind of sound like the title of a horror movie. But it's not. We're going to be learning about a bird that lives in a swamp.
So it's a thing in a swamp.
Yeah, well, it's a bird in a swamp.
Gotcha.
But it sounds better when we call it
Sounds better when you say
Swamp Thing. Exactly.
Anyways, with thick gray feathers and an enormous beak that resembles a Dutch wooden shoe, the shoe-bill stork is quite a sight. Wow. A beak that resembles a shoe, and it's called a shoe-bill stork. I'm just also surprised at the lack of imagination in naming this particular bird.
What?
Oh, its bill looks like a shoe-bill stork. Give me a break.
Well, since it's a Dutch wooden shoe, I guess they could have called it a clog bill. Those shoes are called clogs.
That would have been an
You like that better?
even.
Okay,
yes.
we'll write to Nat Geo.
Anyways, enormous. That's the first vocabulary word of the day. It's an adjective. Sometimes you get something that's big. Sometimes you got something that's huge. Sometimes you got something that's gigantic.
Wow.
And then sometimes you have something that's enormous. If something's enormous, it's really, really, really big. This is a big bird with a really, really big beak. For example, the movie star lives in an enormous house by the lake. Yeah, George Clooney doesn't live in an outhouse, okay? He's got a nice big house. That's enormous.
3 kitchens, 7 bedrooms, indoor tennis court. It's a really big house. It's enormous. And it resembles a castle or a palace. If we're talking about a big house that looks like another type of big house, like a castle or a palace, we might use the verb resemble because it simply says to look similar to or to look like something. Not exactly the same, all right, but to look very close to the same, all right? So if it has a lot of the same features, if it reminds you very strongly of something by what you see, you could say this thing resembles that thing. It looks like that thing. For example, people say that a husband and a wife begin to resemble each other as the years go by. Interesting. So a couple that's been married for 50 years, they might just sort of look the same. I've also heard some people say that some dog owners resemble their dogs.
As they get older,
As
they grow old together.
Yeah.
Anyways, though it might appear strange or even prehistoric, it is perfectly suited to its natural environment, the swamps of Central Africa. So they fit right in there. It's basically the ideal place on earth for them to live in. Good for them. I'm just hoping that someone improves on their name at some point. All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a break, but don't go away. We'll be back soon. Swamp Thing!
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。今天的课文标题是 Swamp Thing。好，那它后面有加惊叹号，这语气似乎就要像老师们念的 Swamp Thing。好，其中这个 Swamp 它就是指沼泽地或是湿地。Mike 老师提到沼泽地可能会有鳄鱼出没，老师这时候说的 alligator 就是指鳄鱼，短吻鳄。好，那么老师们开场时有聊到说，这个标题啊像是恐怖片的片名，感觉是在讲沼泽里的怪物诶。不过其实这2天的课文是要介绍一种鸟，叫做 shoebill stork 金头冠。那这种鸟呢，大约有超过100公分高，100多公分哦。然后它有茂密的灰色羽毛，还有类似荷兰木鞋的巨大鸟喙，很大的鸟嘴。然后呢，外表看起来非常古怪。而它们的自然栖息地是位于中部非洲地区的沼泽地。我们先来看2个单字 ，enormous， 它是形容巨大的、极大的。好，那么 resemble， 它是表达与什么相像，跟什么很类似。我们刚刚说到金头冠的鸟喙，它的鸟嘴很像荷兰木鞋。Dutch wooden shoe 就是指荷兰木鞋。那么 Mike 老师说的 clogs，clogs 就可以用来表达木鞋或是木屐。介华课文中
Swamp Thing. Its most characteristic feature is its big round beak, which has sharp edges and is perfect for cutting off the heads of its prey. Its diet consists of fish, water snakes, frogs, turtles, and even baby crocodiles. At about 20 centimeters long and about the same across, the beak also serves as an efficient water bucket that the shoebill stork uses to bathe its eggs with when they get too hot.
Okay, let's talk some more about this bird, this swamp thing.
The shoebill.
Swamp Thing.
Okay, Swamp Thing.
Its most characteristic feature is its big round beak. We've talked about that. Which has sharp edges and is perfect for cutting off the heads of its prey.
Wow.
This animal is good at decapitating the things that it hunts and eats.
That's right, yeah.
This is beginning to sound like a horror movie.
It is.
Swamp Thing.
It is, yeah.
This bird will cut off your head. Oh my gosh. That's pretty scary, actually. Anyways, it says that this is a characteristic feature. You could also say that this is its signature characteristic. Okay, it's the thing that makes it who it is or what it is. It does this thing, and this distinguishes it from other things of the same type or of different types. Anyways, the characteristic sound of a trumpet echoed through the halls. Yes, you can't mistake that sound. You know it's a trumpet when you hear it.
Okay, it's the thing that, yeah, shows how different it is and the thing you might recognize most easily about it. Sure, this big, shoe-shaped, very sharp bill that it uses to cut the heads off other animals. I mean, most birds don't even eat other animals, especially by cutting off their heads. Yes.
I've got a better name for this animal.
Okay, what is that?
The decapitator.
The decapitator. To decapitate is sort of the formal term
cut the head
for
off.
Cutting the head off something. Okay.
Isn't that better? That's a better name. Either that or I'm going to stick with Swamp Thing.
Swamp Thing's a pretty good name too, as we're starting to see. It does kind of sound like a monster from a horror movie, especially if you're a small animal that lives in the swamps of Central Africa, because that is the kind of thing that the shoebill eats. Its diet consists of fish, water snakes, frogs, turtles, and even baby crocodiles, all of which I guess have their heads bitten off by this incredible bird.
This is going to keep me up all night. It's going to give me nightmares.
Don't worry, you're not a baby crocodile. You're not a baby crocodile, so you don't have too much
coming for you, Swamp Thing.
But yes, when we talk about something consists of, we're saying this is what makes it up. This is what it contains. This is all of the different parts that go into being this thing. For example, a standard room at the hotel consists of a single bed, a desk, and a chair.
And not a swamp thing.
And not a swamp thing.
No swamp things.
No, definitely not. So if we're talking about the room at the hotel, what makes up the room? What is in the room? What does the room consist of? A single bed, a desk, a chair, probably a mirror, probably a bathroom, a few other things. But that's what makes up this larger thing. It's not just one thing. It's made up of other things.
At about 20 centimeters long and about the same across, the beak also serves as an efficient water bucket that the shoebill stork uses to bathe its eggs, its eggs with, I should say, when they get too hot.
Oh, interesting.
That sounds like they're good parents that decapitate other animals.
Well, you got to find the food.
Yeah. You got to take the good with the bad. All right, folks. With that, it's time for us to take a break, but don't go away. We'll be back soon with more on the kind of lovable swamp thing.
金头冠最显著的特征就是它那大大圆圆的鸟嘴，那它的边缘呢是很利的，非常适合切断猎物的头。而这种鸟的饮食包含鱼、水蛇、青蛙、乌龟，甚至是鳄鱼宝宝。好，我们先来看单字 characteristic。characteristic 它是形容明显的、显著的或是典型的。那么 consist 这个动词呢，它可以表达由什么组成或是包含。那它的用法是 A consist of B， 表示 A 由 B 组成，那么 A 是整体 ，B 是部分。好，刚刚老师们有用到 decapitate 这个字，我们来拼一下 decapitate，decapitate 表示斩首、砍头的意思。那么把字尾的 e 改成 or 变成 decapitator， 就是指斩首者。好，那么课文接着写到说，金头冠的鸟喙长大约20公分，宽度也差不多。那么 当鸟蛋过热的时候呢，他们就会把这个鸟嘴当作水桶，然后把鸟蛋浸泡在里面。好，Mike 老师刚刚用到 incredible 来形容这种鸟。那么 incredible 它是表达非常棒的、难以置信的或是惊人的。那这个字是拼作 incredible，incredible。解剖课文中
Swamp Thing. Besides its enormous beak, the shoebill has an equally impressive set of wings, measuring almost 2.5 meters from end to end. Surprisingly, though, it's not a great flyer. It mostly uses its wings to keep its balance when walking through marshes, where the ground is often wet, slippery, and thick with grass. This environment seldom poses problems for the shoebill, however, as its long legs, strong toes, and broad wings make traveling through the marshes a breeze.
Okay, more on Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing. It's tall, it's got a big beak, and it cuts the heads off its prey. So don't get in its way. Don't get on its bad side. Anyways, besides its enormous beak, the shoebill has an equally impressive set of wings measuring almost 2.5 meters from end to end. Which would mean that it's really good at flying.
Well, you would think so, with extra long wings like that, wings that are much longer than the bird is tall. You would think that it can fly very well. Surprisingly, though, it's not a great flyer. So as a bird, it's not a very successful bird. It probably doesn't fly very much, and when it does, it doesn't, look graceful like most birds might look. So what does it use the wings for if it's not flying with these very long wings? It says it mostly uses its wings to keep its balance when walking through marshes where the ground is often wet, slippery, and thick with grass. That's true. As we said, it's the swamp thing. It lives in swamps or marshes, which are muddy, grassy areas with also a lot of water. And if you've ever walked through, a thick, wet field or something like that, you know that you can't always trust where your feet are going. Your feet could slip down through the mud or into a very deep puddle. So keeping your balance is very important. So, using its wings in that way, I guess, makes sense more than it would use them for flying.
Anyways, does it fly? Yes. Does it fly well? No. Sometimes, though, it does fly. But for the most part, it uses those wings for balance. And that's why we're using the adverb mostly here. Sure, it might do a little bit of flying, but chances are, if you see the wings out of that bird there walking through the swamp, chances are they're using their wings there for balance. That's why they do it for the most part. For example, I mostly drive to work, but sometimes I ride my bike. So 9 times out of 10, I drive my car, but every once in a while, I'll go ahead and ride my bike.
Okay, kind of like usually or something like that.
Something like that.
All right, cool. Back to the article. This environment, this swampy, marshy environment, seldom poses problems for the shoebill, however, as its long legs, strong toes, and broad wings make traveling through the marshes a breeze. So its wings might not be really made for flying, but its legs and feet are sort of made for walking through this soft terrain, this soft ground. Strong toes, broad, long legs. It kind of sounds like it has almost like snowshoes on the end of its feet. Its feet can sort of support its weight even on this very, very soft ground. Interesting. Quite a unique animal.
Quite a unique and interesting swamp thing. All right, folks, with that, our lesson is now in the books, and it's time for us to say bye-bye.
Take care.
金头鹳这种鸟，除了有巨大的鸟喙，它还有一对令人印象深刻的翅膀，从一端到另一端差不多有2.5公尺诶。那么金头鹳其实没有很会飞，它主要是用翅膀来保持平衡的。毕竟沼泽地面常常会湿湿滑滑，又长满了草。不过这种环境呢，很少会对它们造成问题，因为它们有长长的脚，有强壮的脚趾，还有宽阔的翅膀，让它们穿越沼泽是很轻而易举的。我们先来看单字 mostly，mostly 它表示大部分、大多地、主要地。那么这个段落里面，我们用到 marsh 这个字 ，marsh 也可以指沼泽、湿地。好 ，Mike 老师刚刚用到 muddy 和 grassy 来形容沼泽地。那么 muddy M-U-D-D-Y 它就可以形容泥泞的、沾满泥巴的。那么 grassy G-R-A-S-S-Y 它可以形容是长满草的、绿草如茵的。好，那么老师还有用到 puddle 这个字 P-U-D-D-L-E puddle 可以指水坑，也可以指泥坑。老师还有用到 terrain T-E-R-R-A-I-N terrain 表示地形、地势。那我们最后来看5个重点。第一个是 besides 在这边当介系词，之后要接名词或动名词来表达除了什么什么之外还怎么样，还有什么什么。例如 Kate can speak other languages besides English 除了英语之外 Kate 还会说其他语言。第二个重点是 measure 在这边当动词来表达长宽或是距离为什么什么。例如 The kitchen measures 14 feet wide by 18 feet long 厨房的宽度是14英尺，那么长度是18英尺。好，第三个重点From end to end 是指从一端到另一端，像我们可以说 The promenade is about 3 kilometers from end to end 那条滨海步道从一端到另一端的长度大约是3公里。第四个重点动词 pose 在这边是表达造成、产生，那它的受词常常是表达危险、问题等等的名词，像我们可以说 pose a problem, pose a risk, pose a threat 等等，后面接 for 或是 to 再加名词来表达对什么什么造成问题、造成危险、造成威胁。好，例如 smog poses a serious threat to our health 雾霾对我们的健康造成严重的威胁。第5个重点 make 加受词加受词补语是表达使某人或某事物成为怎么样，变得怎么样。那么 make 在这边是表达使成为，使变成，它的受词补语可以用名词或形容词。例如 Listening to music makes me happy 听音乐使我变得快乐。好，那么以上是今天的讲解，同学们别走开，马上回来哦。
Look at this black lump. It might not look special, but it is. This is a black truffle, a very expensive food. 1 kilogram of black truffles can sell for over $2,000. But what is a truffle? It's a type of fungus. It grows underground on the roots of trees. Truffles and trees help each other grow. Because truffles are underground, people use pigs and dogs to find them. These two animals have a good sense of smell. They can smell out the truffles in the forest. Now, how exactly do you eat truffles? We chefs like to cut them into slices and cook them into dishes. Don't worry, truffles are full of flavor, so just a few pieces are enough. We also use truffle oil to give food a truffle flavor. So have a seat. I have made a tasty truffle meal just for you.
See you next time!